Okay, I'm here with John Hawkins from Right Wing News, who's at our immigration event, pre-event, I should say. John, great to see you. How have things been going down on Right Wing News?
Life is fantastic. Great to be here in D.C. A lot of fun coming in, seeing a lot of friends.
All right. What do you hope to get out of this event, this immigration event?
Well, I know the Center for Immigration Studies is the best there is on immigration. Now, I didn't even know we can talk about this. I thought this was off the record.
Well, the event itself is off the record. We can do interviews like I'm doing now.
Okay, yeah. I'm hoping to come out, meet some people here, listen to what they have to say about immigration. It's an issue I'm really interested in, and it'll be great to hear more about it from the pros.
Now, this is a question I mentioned to Senator Sessions, and I want to run it by you. One of the things that drives me absolutely nuts on immigration is that the entire concept that enforcing the law is optional. No one, if we suggested to our friends on the left that we should have a sanctuary city where no gun laws are enforced, or a sanctuary city where the gay marriage laws are not enforced, or a sanctuary city where the housing laws are not enforced, people would say we were crazy. But on immigration, we are able to ignore the law with impunity, and the people celebrate it. How can that be?
Well, first of all, I think that's probably what it would take to actually get them to get serious about sanctuary laws, to say, all right, if you're doing this to us, we're going to do it to you. And I think that's something we may have to do one day.
All week. Okay, you on what air now?
Well, go ahead and join. Might as well join the interview. I was going to interview you later, Jeff. That's Jeff Dunitz of the Yid with Lid. We will get back to him in a second, but we'll continue with John. You were saying about the immigration law.
Yeah, on immigration. You know what? It does undermine the rule of law in America, because the reality is if illegal aliens don't have to follow the law, they don't. The law says you're supposed to be deported. If they're not going to have to follow the law, why should I have to follow the law? Why should I have to pay my taxes? Why shouldn't I be allowed to break the law with impunity? Is it because I'm not an illegal alien? Is it because I'm not a Democrat? I mean, because apparently, look, that's what's happened with Hillary Clinton. She's going to get a break on this when she should go to jail because she's a Democrat. Illegal aliens get a break. I noticed the Occupy movement. The law, a lot of times, gave them a break, but it didn't give the Tea Party a break. Why do they have two sets of rules? I think this undermines democracy in the country. So it's a really big issue, and that's even setting aside the enormous number of crimes committed by illegal aliens.
And this is a frustrating thing for me personally. I have a friend at my work. I work in a warehouse overnight who's from Bangladesh, a Hindu. He's here working very hard. He wants to bring over his wife, and he's been going through paperwork, and it's been 2 years, and he's gotten nowhere. Yet if his wife was at the Mexican border and walked across, people would be fighting to keep her here.
Yeah, it's really bizarre, because if you look at the workforce in America, the one thing we're short on is, if anything, is college-educated, highly skilled workers. Those are the people who are doing the best in the economy, the ones that are really suffering, unfortunately, because of free trade, because of just technology changes. You know, think about it like this. Shipping containers have really only been in effect for, what, 50, 60 years? Computers, how long have they been around? Another 20, 30 years. That enables us to go out and set up a factory in China and ship stuff here. Well, these things are killing low-income workers and people without skills. So what are we doing with illegal immigration? We're bringing in 10, 11 million people who have no skills. And these are people who are doing back-breaking manual labor. Most of them, by the time they're 50, even if they became citizens, will be on Social Security because their knees and backs are not going to hang in for that long doing manual labor. These people are a net deficit. They add very little to the country. If they all disappeared in 6 months, nobody would notice the difference. It's that true.
And of course, with the whole fight for 15 nonsense, you're going to have people who are working under the table and exploited because you cannot afford to hire people.
Right, and people don't pick into that aspect of it. Because look at it like this. You're a regular worker, okay? You're up against an illegal alien for the same job. The illegal alien does not have health care. You do. That's an expense you have to pay. He doesn't have car insurance. You do. That's an expense you have to pay. He's not paying any taxes. In fact, he may be lying and cheating on his income tax because what's it going to hurt him? They haven't caught him. He can ask for an earned income tax credit that he doesn't deserve. I've got 12 kids, and they're likely to send it to him. So you look at all that and say, well, gee, no wonder American workers can't compete with illegals. They have a set of costs that they have to have that illegals don't have.
And I got to ask you, what has been the big story? Obviously, Orlando is the big story in the country right now.
Sure.
What has been the the stories that has been driving the traffic at right-wing news? What are the things that you see as the stories that are going to make the difference this year?
Well, I'm sure it's going to be lots and lots of stories about Trump, for good or ill. Mainly, and this is going to be, a lot of your listeners are not going to want to hear this, but mainly him losing to Hillary, because the election's already over if he's the nominee. I hate to say that,
I
but
disagree,
it's done.
but that's all right.
And I know a lot of people do, and I respect that. I don't have anything negative to say about anybody who's endorsed Trump or anybody who supports him, but I'm just saying it's game over already if he's the nominee, and he probably will be. He's like a dog who caught a car, and he's trying to figure out what to do with it, and he's never going to figure it out. He's just going to lose. He's going to become the next Dukakis.
Oh, that's a pretty harsh assessment, because I think he's much more media savvy than Dukakis.
Well, he's a media savvy. Yeah, I'll say this about him: as much as I don't like him, I'm sure the Republican National Convention will be the best one ever with him running. It probably will be, because he's good at that. But I wish that was what he was doing instead of being a nominee. But we'll just have to see. That's why we have elections, right?
It's one thing that I was saying on my podcast last week is that I just wish that Mitt Romney or John McCain had half the fight of Trump when they were running. If Mitt Romney had half the fight of Trump when he was running, we'd be talking about the Romney re-election campaign against Hillary.
I agree with you. And the thing about it, and I was a guy who was a fan of him early on, there are so many things he does right and says right and issues he addresses and nobody else addresses. It just comes with a level of baggage, 12 freight cars long. And that's kind of the thing. I think there's a lot of lessons Republicans can learn from him and conservatives can learn from him. I just think it's going to be very difficult because of all the other things to get him elected.
I have not decided whether or not I'm supporting Mr. Trump yet, although that speech he gave on Orlando is probably the closest I ever came to endorsing him. My biggest problem is I don't know what his core values are, and pro-life is my sign and no choir. If I'm not sure about it, I can't go on. Well, they're calling for attention. John, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.